suck again, and I don't have to listen.
That'll be fun.
Like Cowboys, nobody cares. You hear a few Cowboys fans, and everybody laughs at them.
Yeah, this one's gonna be a long one.
Yeah, Cowboys were a long one, right? How many years were the Cowboys?
They won 3, right?
They won 5. Well, in the era, they won 5.
Yeah.
The triplets was like Emmitt Smith, Michael Irvin, Drake, and like those guys I think won 3 together. But in the history of the Cowboys, it's 5.
Interesting. Yeah,
Well, we're already at 3 here with the KC Chiefs.
Patty's only 28, man. I wish Patty would just retire right now, so he would just be the best of all time.
You know, it would always be like, what if?
Make it worse at this point.
Yeah, that's fair. Like it would just be like the biggest what if in NFL history.
Yeah, he'd go down as the greatest ever. Like he's still at this point, he's the best ever, but not the greatest ever. To me, that's the distinction. Greatest involves length. Like to me, like
okay.
like,
So greatest is like performance over time. Best is like just sheer talent.
That's just my opinion, obviously. But yeah, I think that's a huge difference.
And you're saying like everybody, like Joe Montana and like Troy Aikman, and
probably
like all of these guys.
Probably like the best at the time is what I'm saying. Like they were, I'm not trying to say
you're not comparing them to him now.
No, I'm not saying they're irrelevant. Patty's the best. I'm saying at the time, there's always the best at the time.
Yeah.
But
I thought you were saying best all over.
No. Well, I mean, probably just because he's the newest best.
That's fair.
But just Brady's the greatest ever.
Yeah.
I'm just saying there has to be something about longevity for greatest. You can't just pick the most talent. You know what I mean? Imagine if Arnold won Olympia.
Sure.
He probably still would have been the genetic freak and the best ever. I think to be the greatest, you gotta
do it over and over.
Yeah, and like coming back and winning, like that's the reason MJ is like MJ.
Yeah. Arnold, people were pissed because he came back in the 1980 Olympia. And they all said he didn't deserve to win. They just gave it to him because he was like a movie star.
Right.
And he was coming back, I think, when he was filming a movie or something like that. And so he did that last Mr. Olympia, and everybody was like, he didn't look very good. He shouldn't have won.
What's your opinion? Do you think he looked good or?
I'd have to go back and look. I think it was on Pumping Iron, if I remember right. But I don't remember him looking that good that he was like, I think there were other people that beat him.
It's probably good I hate to say it's probably good for the sport.
Yeah, it's good for the sport. That's how they always go. It's like, it's always hard to beat the king. You know, if you're in top of the hill, like, if you're king of the hill, they're not going to easily let somebody beat you.
Yeah.
So even if you come in just a little shitty, seems like you get the default if you're the winner,
The historic nod or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. Something like that.
That makes sense.
In the sport that I grew up doing, motocross, a lot of the greats retired at like 28, 27, 28, kind of killed it for about 5 to 6 years, dominated everybody, and then just leaves. And that's kind of like the precedent that's been set. So I don't know as technology goes on and whatnot, if they'll be able to recover better and whatnot, because it's pretty grueling to ride a dirt bike and get thrown off of it. And people don't consider all like the micro vibrations and micro impacts from jumping and all the bumps and whatnot. Tears your joints up quickly.
Yeah, I can see that. You know how crazy it would have been, obviously, before all these mega sports, right? Like nowadays, we don't give a shit about the Olympics like we did. But you think about like early Olympics, like all these countries coming together, competing. Like when was the first really Olympic contest? Right?
It was ancient Greece.
Yeah, dude. So we got this going on a couple, thousands of years now?
Yeah.
I mean, it would have been really cool. Like, the events would have sucked, obviously, back then.
Yeah. But, and they were naked.
Naked wrestling, man.
I don't know. Like, would you win?
Discus.
Would you win by just like putting your balls in somebody's face, or
are you allowed
farting right in their face, like north-south jiu-jitsu?
Yeah,
just fart.
Were farts funny in ancient Greece?
For sure.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like,
they had to be.
I don't know.
It's a tough question.
Human beings are human beings.
That's a little different. I don't know, because you think about it, like homosexuality was a lot more prominent in ancient Greece too. So it's like,
yeah, that's true.
Was it?
Yeah, Greece. They had slaves, and they had like little boys that they would bring up as like, it was actually like this like celebrated thing. Like you would go and like be mentored by another man, but it also meant that they were like screwing you at the same time. Yeah. And it was like they took pride in it. This is like, bringing up their young boys almost. It's
no wonder that civilization didn't thrive.
Maybe it's like a South Park thing where it was funny till Eric came out of her vagina, Sharon.
That's crazy. I believe you. I never thought about it very long, but that makes sense.
Yeah. I remember reading it somewhere. It might have been Socrates or something. They were talking about it because it was very big in the culture. And it's like the things you don't think about with Greece, like Greece, Rome, those kind of places were so advanced because they had so many slaves that were doing things for them. They had so much free time for philosophy. They had time to work out. Like they said, like ancient Greece had, different like body standards, things like that. It wasn't quite like bodybuilding like what we have, but they had, warriors,
I guess
warrior
that makes sense.
aesthetic. Think Brad Pitt and the Achilles. Is that him?
That was a horrible movie, but it did have a good line in there. Yeah, Troy is the movie you're talking about.
Troy,
Yeah,
that's
Brad
it.
Pitt, Eric Bana.
So
But he's Achilles, right?
Is-
Okay.
Did that movie have potential to be good, or like are you just saying you don't like the Iliad? Like you don't like the?
No, the story's amazing. The
Okay.
story is one of the best of all time.
Yeah, okay.
The movie's just horrific.
Okay, I got you.
Amazing cast. Just bad. It's really bad. Brad Pitt. You can tell Brad Pitt doesn't even care about he just went way too far. In the role.
I'm gonna have to rewatch it now.
The first scene's cool.
So,
and then
I got a question.
Sure.
Trojan horse. That story, is that a real story?
Yes.
yeah,
Like that
that's-
happened for sure.
That's the one.
Yeah. So
Like in like reality.
yeah,
like
yeah. So
Yeah.
they found the evidence of it
of the Trojan horse
of Troy.
Okay.
Of Troy and like
Of the civilization.
I'm talking specifically like they made this Trojan horse. They like filled him up with
I know
with
what you're saying. The
warriors,
Trojan, this is
stuck him through. Helen of Troy, that kind of thing. That's the same story we're talking about, right?
Yeah.
So it started off as a myth. It was written by I think was it Plato? It was an Iliad written by Homer.
Yeah, it's Homer.
Yeah, Homer. So it started off as like what everybody thought was like a story or a myth, but then they started finding evidence of like the ancient city of Troy, like 7 or 8 layers down. Some German dude actually found it in the 20s, but we all know how Germans are with preservation of artifacts and whatnot. So he ended up using TNT to renovate it and blew down like 7 layers because there was like 7 layers of city that they just kept building on top of. And the one that dated back to the age of which they thought it would have been, which was about like 5,000-6,000 years or 1,000 years before Homer, which was about 4,000 or 5,000 years ago. They found the city. They found all the like the burn patterns and what is in the city kind of lines up to the pillaging of Troy and whatnot. So they think a majority of that story is accurate. So I don't know.
And a German archaeologist blew up 7 feet of it. Is that what you're saying?
7 layers of it. 7 layers. So there's 7 layers of city. It just like build on top of each other every time it got destroyed.
Leave it
It's like
to the
the-
Germans.
It's like the 7-layer dip. Go down deep enough.
I mean, I guess you can.
I saw something the other day where it said that they keep renovating something and they're like building a tunnel or something. I think it was Greece, and they had to stop. They have to keep stopping because they keep finding things like what you're talking about, like statues and all sorts of artifacts that they have to like stop, bring in the government. They have to like have archaeological digs, and they can't build this tunnel. I don't remember if it was Greece or what it was, but something of that nature.
Do you guys think like lost technology exists?
Like the advanced technology.
Yeah. There's 2 camps. So there's like we're the most advanced we've ever been now, and then there's people saying no, we were way more advanced. Like the story of Atlantis is true. All that kind of stuff. Like I watch this YouTube channel. It's called the Y-Files. Shout out to Y-Files. And they just kind of go through all kind of different theories and whatnot. So the one last week was saying that like the Knights Templar was actually guarding the secrets of Atlantis and like its advanced civilizations and just kind of a bunch of crazy shit. This past one was about some guy, like there's a guy that shows up in people's dreams and it's consistent across cultures and whatnot.
Yeah.
That kind of I don't know, there's a lot more to it. I honestly fell asleep in the middle of this one.
It's like this dark figure or something, right? I've seen that before. People talk about that. Some sort of dark figure that's like consistent across different dreams and things.
So people think it's like some like that's like evil or like the devil or whatever. So
it probably is, dude.
Yeah, no, like there's a lot of very interesting things. So my question to you guys is like, how much of what we're told historically is you feel like is accurate, or is it going to be like 1,000 years ago or 2,000 years ago when they're like, no, everything rotates around the earth, and then he got killed for saying that, and turns out, we rotate around the sun because what was it? It was Aristotle.
It was Galileo.
Was it Galileo?
Yeah, everyone thought he was a genius at the time, and turns out he's a huge dumbass.
Yeah.
Galileo.
I
think Galileo was the one that said that the Earth rotates around the sun.
Yeah,
and
but
we're not the center.
But who was the one that it was another famous philosopher that said that it was the other way. And I think it was
that
like
the Earth was the center of the universe.
Yeah.
No.
There's quite a few of them. I think that was a
I-
popular thought up till Galileo.
That's what I was about to say. Maybe I was wrong. It's like actually off of like a Always Sunny bit. They were talking about. I think I've showed it to you.
Yeah.
It's like everyone thinks they have like the next thing figured out, and then they're proven wrong.
Yeah.
And then like the next one is like that's what I was like. I thought Galileo was the one
Yeah.
that said.
I think they imprisoned him, and it was like
Yeah, it was
heresy
the-
and
yeah.
things.
it was the
Obviously,
Catholic Church that killed him.
The Catholic
obviously he was a
Church.
genius at the time, but the point was that like literally,
I think there's like a verse in the Bible that says that like things rotate around the Earth, like the Earth is like the center of the universe or something, and that's what they were basing it off of. And then Galileo came in and said, "No, I think the sun is the center of our,
Yep.
and everything rotates around the sun." And then they're like, "No, that's heresy. We're gonna, essentially kill you." And I think it turns out he was right.
I think they killed him, didn't they?
I don't remember if they killed him or not.
Did they kill Galileo?
I think they arrested him, but I don't know if they killed him.
I don't know. It's tough to be right for all of time.
That's true.
That's the lesson here.
You shouldn't be.
Galileo. Well, that's what I was about to say.
Yeah.
The cool thing about them though is they were actual scientists.
Yeah.
So like the interesting part about that was like they probably wouldn't have been that actually mad
Yeah.
about learning they were wrong.
Yeah.
it's a
The
rough-
Catholic Church just didn't give them enough money,
well,
to do their research.
I'm just saying Galileo is probably more malleable a lot more than the Catholic Church.
That's probably true.
You know?
So yeah, they didn't end up killing him. He
Yeah.
died peacefully of a natural causes.
They kill a lot of people, though.
Ruin a-
who cares?
I read it.
Are we talking about a
Just
Catholic
Catholic
church?
churches? No, the Catholic Church has, but no. I was thinking. I read something the other day.
They kill a lot
It
of
was
little
Rome.
boys' innocence. Is what they.
Yeah, I saw one for Rome, and it said that there was something that happened in Rome, and they had this road that went to Rome,
Mhm.
and they lined the road with 6,000 crosses, and they crucified 6,000 people on the road to Rome. That were all, I don't remember if they were
Dang.
what they did specifically, but 6,000 people, and they ran out of wood and trees, obviously 6,000 crosses and things like that. But it's just insane the way that things used to be.
Man.
Back in the day.
It's a lot of messed up people.
Can you imagine like just going down that
now
road?
silence is violence.
Can you imagine going down that road and just seeing just all these people just crucified?
Oh yeah, dude. And they just leave
Paul
them
would
up
have just
there.
had his camera out the whole time. Just like, "Go, guys."
Logan Paul.
Nah, whatever. Who gives a
Yeah,
shit?
dude.
One of those two.
Crazy.
That is I know. I've heard this throughout time,
they
the
killed-
Crusades, and I just don't understand. Not that you are, but so many people just insert like, oh, like that's what Christians do. It's like, well, sure, that's what people do, bro.
Yeah, that's what people do.
There's no trust me, Christians do not have a monopoly on wars
No.
in the wrong the
No.
wrong name. I'm just saying, like it's weird to me that we just love to bang on that. And it's like, dude, everyone has done so many horrible things in
For sure.
history.
Yeah, you got it with Greece, you got it with Rome, you got it with these major civilizations that
Yeah,
were
dude.
around and things like that. But yeah.
Yeah, even if you like look at about all the stuff in the Crusades, it's like it's just that the one king, I don't remember his name.
Yeah.
He just wanted power, dude.
That's just always how it is.
So what's the final decision? You think? Are we more advanced now than ever, or has there been a more advanced time?
As romantic as it is to say we were more advanced at one time, I think it's just simply foolish.
Yeah.
There's no evidence at all.
Mm-mm. No, I'd say there's probably things that we've forgotten or lost. I don't know if I'd call them technology, but like remedies that people probably had for certain ailments,
Sure.
ways to prepare food or to do certain things that we just will never, ever know again, because they knew how to do it,
Yeah, that's
when nothing else
right.
existed. Right. So I think that's more along the lines. I doubt there's any sort of like secret.
there's no
alien
alien
technology or
there's
something.
nothing. Don't even say anything about the pyramids. I'm already bored listening to it. Just no, dude.
Those are just unexplainable things that we don't know. Like the Great Wall of China.
That's my
It's
point,
so
though,
massive.
is
We
that,
have no
like,
idea.
That doesn't mean there's some ancient answer. It just
Yeah.
means we don't know. To me, at least.
So does that mean like, what about those guys that like looked ripped back then? You know, like you see all these sculptures of people in this elite physical shape. What do you think that's to?
Well, I think they had a lot of time, right? We're looking at Greece and Rome and things like that. And I think they put a lot of time and effort into the way they looked, their philosophy. Like there was very much a sound mind, sound body kind of thing going on in Greece. So philosophers focused a lot on, your thought process. Socrates was one of them. I think there's even a quote from Socrates, like what a shame it is for a man to grow old without seeing what his body is capable of, that kind of thing. And so I think they had a lot of physical fitness back then. I think it was just not bodybuilding, maybe, what we would consider more just, I don't know, cross training these days. You know, they want to be fit for war, fit for battle.
Yeah, that's what I asked. Is like, do you think bodybuilding existed in some sense, or like what might that have looked like then?
Yeah, I think bodybuilding existed back then, but I don't think they understood what made the muscle grow. Right. You know, that you do the same thing over and over and use heavy weights, and
I don't know.
that makes the body grow.
I mean, we should have looked it up honestly before we started, but like, what's the first evidence of like training?
The first evidence of training is back in like ancient Greece.
Well, so I was assuming it's for war.
Yeah, it's war.
And I'm assuming it's like either the Spartans or
they had evidence for Egypt, like the pharaohs had like you know training protocols for hunting. Like a lot of
makes sense.
It's all I think you know, for like what's going to benefit your life. You know,
right? But that's kind of what I'm getting to. So I'm assuming not that they weren't doing some sort of training, but there was no like weightlifting.
No, I don't think there's any evidence.
Like fighting or something, right? Like surely like that had been the
fighting, calisthenics, running, you know, stuff like that.
Sure,
for sure.
Yeah. But like that's why I think like you see like ripped dudes, you don't see huge dudes. Because they just didn't have the diet.
Yeah.
I mean, literally.
Well, and they didn't have steroids.
Well, that's a good
point. Ultimately, like the reason you see such huge dudes is steroids.
Well, sure, but those statues of the Greek guys, like, you think they were just totally embellishing?
Yeah, I think that there's some embellishment, but I have never seen them up person, so I don't know what they
obviously
look like,
we don't know for sure. But
I'm sure if I'm gonna do a statue, I'm gonna make it look real fucking good. I'm not gonna do like, well, this guy kind of looks good. Why does he have such a tiny? Yeah, it's bro. He's a grower, not a shower.
You're the one that said embellishment.
Grower, not a shower.
I'm just saying.
Can't judge David off of that, you know?
Yeah.
I don't even know what David. Who was it that did that? The David statue is not even anywhere near that time period. Is it?
Isn't that Michelangelo?
Yeah, I think so.
It is one of the Ninja Turtles.
Yeah. Raphael, Donatello.
Great Fortnite update, by the way.
It was a good one. My kids love it.
Yeah. So it turns out that like it's more kind of like CrossFit is what I would call it.
Yeah, CrossFit. That's kind of the thing I said.
Yeah, it's so there's examples like you said, ancient Egypt, ancient Greece, ancient India as well.
Yeah, you got to think India did yoga. Right?
Yeah,
so
India,
you got yoga. Yeah. So you want to go real far back.
Kushti, which is Indian wrestling.
Yeah, you go real far back to the Yoga Sutras, you know, of Patanjali or whatever. That's like 4,000 BC or something. They had yoga. That was for the body. You trained the body to control the mind in yoga, right? You go to China and you have Tai Chi, which is like a movement of energy that they're trying to do. And you like stand and like do these different poses and hold poses. And you also had Chinese had Kung Fu, things like that. And that's pretty ancient. So you had a lot of this stuff, but I think it was all like, you know, Kung Fu, fighting styles.
There's always a practical element. I guess the real question that I've figured out that I'm actually curious about now, when did the pointless body stuff come into play?
When it's just about how I look.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
1900s.
Like, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah,
because I get the
like, what do you define as pointless? So let's set those parameters.
I'm sure
it's not fighting.
I'm sure it's always been there because you look back at these African, you know, tribes that put the freaking neck things on and stuff. So I'm sure, you know, looks has always been a big part of society.
Right.
But like what you're talking about, bodybuilding and things really started in like the 1900s with like Eugene Sandow, which is what he was the first bodybuilder, and he was like a strong man kind of a guy.
20s or 30s.
And they talk about the Olympia now. Like when you win an Olympia, you win a Sandow. And that's one of the Sandows. So like
I've heard his name before.
Yeah. So he's the father of modern bodybuilding. And that was like early 1900s, you know, something like that. So that's Eugene Sandow. And he was a pretty built guy, you know, but not steroid built.
Sure, obviously.
Right? So he wasn't Arnold Schwarzenegger, but he looked good. And those times I think they were feats of strength. And it was like circus, like almost like a circus. Like these guys used to even like, probably not early 1900s, but maybe they used to blow up those hot water bags, the rubber they're talking about. You know, you'd put the hot water in and you'd put in your bed with you or something to keep you warm. And they would blow those up and they would use their lung capacity to burst those rubber bags. And so like there was a lot of feats of strength. Like I was telling Broc the other day, for squats, they used to have the bar on the ground. They would have to hoist the bar up kind of sideways, like tilt it, crawl underneath it, get their back on it, and then like lean it on their back. And so they're starting from the ground with squats.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
And so quite a different movement. There's strongmen and powerlifters out there today that are doing that movement, but it's because of those guys back in the early 1900s. So, and then you get the invention of steroids, you know, from the Russians and, you know, the Olympics, I think is really when they started figuring out steroids, like Diana Ball really improved your strength and athleticism.
So roughly that's bodybuilding started around the 20s, 30s.
Yeah, I think your first real bodybuilding show is around the 30s.
And then your
When was your first example of steroids, or like when did those like first get developed?
Yeah, that's the Russians early 1900s, like what 1940s 50s range. The Russians used them in the Olympics.
Yeah, you're talking about when they got developed. I would ask, when did they become like popular?
I want to know when they got developed. I'm genuinely curious about that.
Yeah, you had D-ball that they were using in the Olympics.
The 80s. Like I mean widespread though. I mean widespread.
Well, I mean, it depends. If you look at like Pumping Iron and you watch all those guys in Venice Beach that are there with Arnold, they're all on steroids.
Right. And that's the 70s, I'm assuming?
That was the 60s and 70s.
So, I mean, obviously we're not going to fit, like there's not a black and white answer, but I would so what do you think steroids got spiked more 60s?
You guys have no idea how this actually got started. It's actually kind of crazy.
Let's do it.
All right. So it was developed by the Germans in World War II. Testosterone was.
It's always the Germans.
I say Germans? Maybe I said Russians.
Yeah.
Russians.
Dude, it's always the Germans in the 40s.
Yeah, no.
One of the bad countries, I don't know.
Yeah, so
never on our side.
So they developed it to basically help aid in like malnourished prisoners of war. So they basically just juice their guys up after they've been caught to try to get them back on their feet again. It says that athletes and bodybuilders soon realized the potential, the performance enhancing effects of these synthetic testosterone derivatives, and they became widespread in the 1950s and 60s.
Okay, that was close.
There was a limited understanding here about the potential risk. By the 60s and 70s, the use of steroids in sports, including bodybuilding, became the most widespread, and literally started getting banned by like the Olympics and all that. So that's kind of when they started getting realized on like the effects of them and whatnot.
Yeah, I remember. So even when in the Pumping Iron, you can it's the wild west at that point, dude.
Oh, dude, those guys. Well, they didn't know how they worked.
Yeah, exactly.
They didn't know how to cycle them right or anything, and it was literally guys would come in the gym with a duffel bag full of gear.
Exactly.
And it would be like, all right, what do you want? And then they were all pharmaceutical grade, made by by pharmacists and things. And
I mean, obviously, you can tell me more the ins and outs by the movie The Wrestler with Mickey Rourke.
Yeah,
I always thought was a really good example.
So how does Dianabol actually work? Like, how do these actually, like, people say steroids and they just think it's testosterone and then they get fucking jacked, right?
Yeah.
But from the way I understand it is that you have testosterone that you run as a base to kind of support what you need for the rest of the androgens you're putting in you. So what are we doing here? Like, explain this for people that don't understand it. They just think shot in butt equals big muscles.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a scientist, so I'm not going to pretend like I know all the ins and outs of how they work, but you have different receptor sites, and there's like a ratio on anabolic to androgenic. And so some steroids are androgenic, they have male side effects, and they bind to the androgen receptors in your body. And so that's like increasing your testosterone levels, increases like the activity at these androgen receptor sites. And that starts the process of building muscle faster or something like that. But the interesting thing is that there's different ones with different side effects, right? So like testosterone will make you more masculine, but Anavar, which is one that's really popular back in the day, and it's more popular for women because it doesn't have those masculine side effects. So women can take Anavar, not turn into a dude at a nice, low enough dose or something like that. But maybe every once in a while they'll get VAR voice, where they start to have a little bit deeper of a voice, and that vocal change is permanent. Like you can't come back from that. And so women.
So you can't take like estrogen and then like.
No. Once the vocal cords have been changed, you can't change them back. Mm-hmm. So that's a permanent. It's called virilization in women. And so women that take steroids start to have masculine side effects, and all of them will do it eventually. But some are stronger than others for sure. Like they don't want to take high doses of testosterone. They're going to turn into a dude, sprouting hair, jaw growth. They're going to have, growth down in their nether regions. Things are going to get bigger, kind of like a tallywhacker would get bigger. Yeah. That kind of stuff is all permanent. Like I don't think it doesn't change after they come off. So it may get less intense and come back, like as if it's, inflamed and, causing more problems in your vocal cords and things, but it's permanent. But they're all working off of the same way that testosterone works in your body. They're all just different types of it, right? And so you have different, like dihydrotestosterone is Winstrol, and that was a really popular one that was probably really early as well. But the DHT, dihydrotestosterone, is the same stuff that whenever it touches your hair follicles, that's what makes your hair fall out. So when you take Winstrol, DHT, you're very likely to lose hair. Terrible one for women. When I was training people, there would be girls that would be, hitting me up for coaching or something like that, or telling me what their coach had them on. They're like, yeah, I'm taking 50 milligrams of Winstrol a day. I'm like, dude, that's going to fuck you up. And you don't know it. Unfortunately, your coach is going to do this. And I would just be like, I really would not use that. my suggestion, you do whatever you want. It's your body, your choice.
How do you
know?
find someone like a coach that like actually knows what they're talking about? Because that's a hard subject. That's like going to a doctor and like trying to be completely honest with them. They're like, "Do you smoke?" And you're like, "Well, not tobacco." So
yeah, doctors will hold it against you. Like that goes on your medical record, and they'll use that. Like if you tell a doctor that you've taken steroids, they're going to put that on your medical record. Then you're going to go try to get life insurance, and the life insurance is going to look back and they're like, "This guy took steroids. We're going to give him a lower rating. We're not going to insure him or something like that. He's a much higher risk because it's all risk based."
Right, and they're doing their job.
It's their job. It's not nothing wrong with that. But that's why people lie.
Yeah.
That's why people lie, though. Like if you were to be able to tell the doctor the truth and there wasn't a direct financial repercussion, then I think more people would be honest with their doctor.
You think that leads to people having more problems?
Absolutely. I think it leads to people. If you could go to a doctor, say, "Hey, I'm using testosterone, I'm using this, if you will not try to judge me, not change my medical record, but instead, just like you would tell a smoker, like, "Hey, you need to stop smoking," but you're not going to not treat them. You're not going to treat them like a pariah, things like that.
I've always been curious about that. Obviously, there's some sort of gray area because, we're going to get on the weeds here for a second.
That's fine.
But the doctors are HIPAA certified.
Yeah.
And taking steroids is illegal.
Yeah.
So I've always wondered, like, where is this just a wink? Obviously, any doctor who would report that wouldn't be seen by anyone.
Who would they report it to?
They report it to it goes in.
I know who they report it to, and that's why I'm asking.
I'm asking you, who do they report it to? So
APS,
I don't know any of it.
Adult Protective Services, Child Protective Services. Because I understand that you're going to ask where the harm is. And I'm not saying it should be. I'm just saying I've always wondered that.
Okay. Are you talking, you're not talking like insurance purposes?
Yeah. I'm simply saying you tell your doctor you're on steroids.
Yeah.
Does he have any? I know he probably doesn't care.
I don't think he has a requirement to report anything.
No, he definitely doesn't. I'm just saying it's a weird situation.
It's a weird situation. Like, you get a doctor. Most of the doctors think you're an idiot. First off, if you're going to tell them like, "Hey doc, I'm using testosterone," they're going to think you're an idiot. Sure. First off, because you shouldn't be doing anything without a medical. They're just
obviously
right. Yeah. So they first off think you're an idiot and think that you don't know what you're doing.
Sure.
And so unfortunately, instead of wanting to help you do it right, they just want to shut you down.
Okay.
And you're talking to people that are just going to do it anyway. So like either they do it with your help or they do it without your help. And your choice is, do you want to help them do it in a healthy way, or do you want to make them feel like they can't talk to their doctor anymore? And if you're a doctor, you should absolutely say, "Hey, off the record, I'm not putting this in your medical report. Tell me everything you're taking. Sure. I'll be on your side, man. My goal is to help you be as healthy as possible. If you choose to smoke cigarettes and you don't want to quit, my job would be to help you make sure that you're not going to die from it. Sure. And so here's the things you could do that would help you, even though you should stop smoking cigarettes. I'm not going to treat you like you're a piece of shit and just not help you. Instead, I'm going to say, "Hey, it turns out vitamin C actually reduces the risk of lung cancer if you're smoking cigarettes every day. So you should be taking a gram of vitamin C every day." That's a good doctor.
It's kind of like a good doctor is like a good parent, right?
The good doctors are rare. That's what the truth is.
Well, it's the same thing as like parenting.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you have your kid who's doing stuff that he shouldn't be doing, and you're going to yell at him for it, but because you're going to yell at him for it, it's not going to change anything. You're just going to fucking hide it from you. Yeah. It's the exact same thing.
100%.
So and I feel like there's just this attitude across a lot of things now where people have their belief system, and that if you don't follow that belief system, they're not going to fucking help you whatsoever, even if it's their job to try to help you. So for example,
it's just teams, man.
Yeah. It's like
everyone wants you on their team.
It's like, would you not want that challenge to be like, look, like, I've been a doctor for 20 years. I have a bunch of patients who are smokers. None of them has died from lung cancer because I provide them alternatives. Like that's what a fucking doctor is.
I'll give you an example, right? So I went to a doctor and I was willing to tell him the truth that I'd used testosterone. I didn't tell him. I just let him figure it out.
You heard it here first.
Yeah. I don't do any illegal things anymore, guys. You can look at me and find out. No, so I go to the doctor and, it's a new doctor. They don't take insurance. This is one of those doctors that you pay out of pocket, right? It was like a concierge doctor, a nice doctor, no insurance. And so everything cost a cash price. And so he was like, "Hey, let's do some blood work. You're a new patient." And he pops in the room as I'm getting my blood drawn. He's like, "Hey, do you want to check your testosterone levels?" And I'm like, I'm a jacked dude at the time. Like I'm like popping out of my shirts. And the dude's, "You want to check your testosterone levels?" And I know what he's doing. He wants to know if I'm on steroids. He doesn't have the nuts to just say it. So he tries to play this game with me of like, "Let's check your testosterone levels." If I say no, he obviously knows, right? If I say yes, he's going to find out the testosterone was high. I didn't give a fuck. He wasn't going to report it to my insurance because there was no insurance. So I said, "Go ahead and do it." He checked my levels. My levels were like 2,300 on a scale. Like the normal levels are like 600, 700, right? For like a decent level. Like you guys probably have like 600, 700, something like that, right? Normal levels. And so then from then on, the problem becomes he hits me up afterwards. Hey, we found there's something weird going on with your testosterone levels. I'm like, no, there's nothing weird. That's exactly what I expected it to look like. I knew that this was going to be high. Oh, okay. Well, these, that's just, there can be problems with high testosterone. I'm like, yeah, I know. Like, thanks. I'm willing to talk to you about it. The problem became that when, like, I had one time, he was, I coughed up enough blood that I was like, hey, this is weird. Should I come into the doctor? So I shoot him a picture, and I was just like, hey, man, is this something I should come see you for? Or am I good just, letting it ride? Well, since your testosterone levels are so high, this could be related to your testosterone levels. I'm like, bro, I have a cold and I'm coughing blood. How is this related? Don't patronize me like this, that you think that everything's related to it. But he kept tying things over to the testosterone. Well, your testosterone levels are. I'm like, bro, go fuck yourself.
Sounds like a Karen.
He was a cocksucker. I mean, it's, in the bad kind, right?
If you're listening to now, doctor, you're a cocksucker.
His name was Doug. Doug was a cocksucker. and their office was shitty. The problem, it was an ironic, it's a cool idea. Like normal doctors, you have an insurance, you go, they charge your insurance, there's a copay, there's all this stuff. This was a different one. You paid a monthly subscription fee. And everything was included for the monthly subscription fee, and anything that cost extra, like blood work or
those are really good for X-rays, blood work.
100%, very
old
cheap.
People.
Blood work was great. Like I could do blood work, and it was like $20. Because they would do it at cost. Because everything was, you paid your subscription, everything was just cost.
Yeah.
So pharmaceuticals were also like pennies. Like I would get a script from them for like 50 cents. That was like amoxicillin, right? Yeah. So for that stuff, it was great. But when you want to go see him, it's interesting. Like if you have a doctor that needs insurance, their first answer is, come in, I have to see you to diagnose you, because they want the copay. They want to bill your insurance.
That's when I know to switch doctors.
And then
Sorry, Dr. Hoppick.
Fair.
Everybody's
this
doctor
today. This doctor, when you go
not paying me $50.
When you go to the subscription-based doctors, it's the opposite.
Yeah.
You don't need to come in.
Yeah, they don't want to see you unless you have a problem, because they
ever want to see you. And then you're just like, hey, I got this problem. You don't need to come in for that. So like, bro, are you? And they never kept their promises on like what the service was going to be like, right? So we ended up switching away. I went back to the regular insurance doctors. We're like, hey, come in. I don't give a fuck on that. But the other ones, I was paying a monthly subscription, and they were the laziest motherfuckers I've ever met. And like, and I don't think you've ever seen somebody that's higher on their horse than a concierge doctor that thinks his shit doesn't stink,
I'm not gonna lie. Most doctors, I just don't care to talk with.
There's a lot of great doctors, but there's a lot.
There's tons of good old boys that are awesome. Yeah. But they don't want to talk about, their doctor.
Yeah.
That's my point.
Yeah.
No, and there's lots of good people that are doctors. Most of the doctors I meet are not good people.
They don't. Yeah.
That's a good point.
And I mean it.
And and that's fair. Like it's, and the doctors themselves that are good would say that too.
Yeah.
Good doctors would be like, yeah, there's a bunch of people that'll fucking kill you.
Oh yeah, dude.
Like, and they don't even realize they're that stupid. They're going to kill you.
It's a bad industry in America.
I don't know if we talked about this on here. I know we've talked about this, but I don't know if it was on here. I just got done with like a documentary a couple weeks ago about like serial killers within the medical profession.
Oh yeah, dude.
Yeah, like that's like doctors or nurses who go into the medical profession knowing that they like want to kill people. And that's how they know they can get away with it.
I think we jumped a little bit.
The thing about it though is like, yes, there probably are some of those people. I think the problem is actually just the dumbasses. Those are the ones that actually kill you on accident.
And that's the thing is like people think like I know one in particular who's a kid that I went to high school with his dad and was like this. And I remember just sitting down with this motherfucker talking about stuff that's not even medically related. And he has this like idea of like, oh, I'm right no matter what. I have my medical degree, so I'm smarter than you.
That's
ultimately
like, what it is. Yeah,
that's what it really is. Goes back to what I said earlier. It's like the team thing, and that's why I think it's like we're all in like it's like that tribe thing. That's like, oh, we're on like that. It's like just grouping. Doctors are so bad about it because the medical profession is like that.
Yeah.
If you're not inside, you're an idiot.
If you don't agree with me, you're
down
a
with
moron.
the side. It's shades of COVID all over. It's just to the 10th degree.
COVID was just the exacerbation of all of that. We all saw it.
Exactly. Yeah. That's all I'm trying to say is like that's generally the vibe I get from most doctors. You have no clue what you're talking about. You just trust me. Listen to me. I know everything that you need to know. Mm-hmm. And if you don't listen to me, that's on you. Yeah. You get what you get.
For sure.
And like you're saying earlier, it's like, why would I need someone to help me, dude?
Yeah, dude.
Why same team. You're paying either way.
That's
bro. If you're taking steroids, you should be checking your blood work regularly.
Yeah.
Having a doctor to look at that blood work
Having a
for
good
you,
doctor would tell you, hey, you need some blood work done.
100%.
You know what I mean? Like same
like,
team.
hey man, if you're gonna take this stuff, like I might disagree with you, but my job is not to tell you how to live your life. It's how to make you healthy
100%
with the choices you're making.
He should be the one doing research for you on anti-estrogen.
Yes.
He should be doing.
I'd be like, are you taking this? Are you doing this?
Yeah.
Man, you really need to take something for, XYZ. Hey, your blood thickness is getting too high. You should really be donating blood. Or I'll write you a script so you can donate
That's
blood.
kind of what I'm
whatever
saying.
it is.
I'm not saying like the Canadians are better and our medical systems are screwed, but it annoys me when we all know that stuff is true.
But if I wanted to become a chick right now,
yeah, exactly.
I'd get those fucking hormones.
You
I'd
know-
get them immediately. They would do all the blood work for me. They would write me the
special
script.
grants for you.
I'd get the special treatment. Hey man, I think I don't like my penis anymore. Can you chop it off?
You
for me?
know,
Yeah, man, we'll chop your penis off and give you some estrogen and give you some boobs too. But hey man, if you want to take steroids and become more masculine with more muscle because that's your hobby, go fuck yourself. You go to jail.
Yeah, no, like that explains the American medical system perfectly.
Perfectly, yeah.
If I want to go get my teeth cleaned, that's gonna be about a 3-month wait. If I want to get my dick chopped off, hey, we can probably get that off next week.
I've never waited 3 months for my teeth.
Dude, I'm telling you, like it's fucking. I've called
Must be
around.
amazing.
Yeah, it must be in demand.
Dude, yeah, everything's in demand now. It's
That's
fucking
true.
ridiculous. Like, anything dental or I need to still get my wisdom teeth out. That's a wait for any of that.
Yeah.
Because think about all the surgeries that they had to pause or hold up on during COVID.
Yeah.
Like all the unnecessary.
I don't know the ones they did.
They
Yeah.
they should have been caught up by now. It's 2024.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, but I'm just saying that laziness has just kind of stayed kicked in like that pace,
No, I know. You go to a fucking gas station and it's like 2020. So I don't know what happened. Customer service just died with COVID. Like it's like customer service had the Rona.
Did you see is there a football league or something that's coming out or a games where they want people to be juiced? There was like the
I
billionaire.
have no idea, but that sounds fun.
There was somebody that's coming out with like a juiced games or something. I don't know if it's Olympics.
People
or
have said for years, and I don't know what you're talking about, but from football, it's like, why test for steroids?
Yeah.
Like the guys need it for recovery. It's nothing but performance enhancing. We all know they're injecting these dudes with Toradol at halftime.
Yeah,
like, come on.
They give them all sorts of shit, but steroids are the ones.
Yeah, but that's
take.
the one they
I know.
can't take. Like anything else.
I know. It's an interesting thing. I think a lot of it comes from there's always the purity of sport argument in baseball, right? The guys that were always arguing, well, they didn't use steroids back when baseball was in its glory days, and now all these people using them are going to break all the records. And
It's all I was just about to say. It goes back to the records for
Yeah.
the baseball dudes, which are they're just a bunch of nerds, by the way.
fucking nerds, man. Like I don't care. Everybody watched baseball when Mark McGwire was hitting homers.
Yeah, dude.
but
Yeah.
I haven't watched baseball.
There's
Now
probably
Now they're worried about if people have sticky putty on their fingers. Like, get over it.
Yeah,
nerds.
Nerds.
fucking losers.
Nerds.
No, I'd be more interested. I'd be more interested in watching the juiced up guys. I'd be like, I want to see what those guys
Heck
can
yeah,
do.
you were, dude. I loved Sammy Sosa, Mark McGwire. That was
Yeah,
when
dude.
baseball was fun.
Absolutely.
What's the craziest shit you guys think people do to either like get bigger or look better? Like let's
There's a
Stick
lot.
needles in their body.
I mean,
dude.
steroids is obviously like one of the most, but it's not the most extreme.
To me,
by the way.
it's steroids because I'm afraid of needles. But there's probably other shit.
The sheer amount of steroids that people take would just shock you. Just regular people that you just are like, you're taking how much? Because you talk about a regular person, right, that might get testosterone replacement therapy through their doctor. They get testosterone, they get a certain dosage. Most of the time, 150 milligrams a week is probably a pretty standard dose for these guys. 200 maybe on the high end.
Do they
right?
have to get a shot a week?
Yeah, they usually do a shot a week or a
That's
shot twice a
horrible.
week.
Yeah,
Yeah.
dude.
How do you get a shot that often?
You just do it.
Does it not get tender?
Oh, yeah, you just switch spots, bro.
How many places are there in your
Bro,
body
when I
to
was-
stick a needle?
When I was competing, I just did it. I just did a circle when I was competing. It was right thigh, right lat, right shoulder, left lat, left thigh. Oh yeah, I forgot the glutes. Left glute, right glute. It was like a circle. I just went in a circle around my body.
What was the most painful place?
Calves. I did calf once. could barely walk.
Dude. How is this? How is this healthy?
It's not healthy. There was nothing healthy I was doing. It was just I was obsessed.
Okay.
I was obsessed.
So let me ask you the psych question. I've been waiting for half an hour.
Sure.
Is bodybuilding or body dysmorphia?
It's body dysmorphia for sure. Now,
Yes.
there are people that I don't think have that.
Okay.
And I think they do bodybuilding because they like it, they enjoy it. It's a challenge, it's a sport, it's the way they make money. And you can tell, I think, by what changes when they stop competing. So you look at
well, that's what I was gonna say.
Look at Dorian Yates.
Mhm.
Dude looks relatively normal.
Yeah.
He's not a juiced up bodybuilder anymore. You look at Arnold for the most part, same way. You look at who are some of these other ones that are more recent that came out? I mean, Ronnie Coleman's kind of he's a little messed up, so you can't really tell.
Dude, a little messed up. That dude's in a wheelchair. Like, you can't call that a little messed up.
Ronnie's crawling around.
Yeah.
Ronnie was just never the smartest guy, is kind of what it came down to. But all of these people that stop competing and allow their body, Jay Cutler, to come back to a normal looking level,
Rich Piana,
don't have as much body dysmorphia.
Sure. That makes total sense.
It's a lot of the up and comers that have the body dysmorphia. And it's not just body dysmorphia, but that is a big part of it. But it's also like a status thing.
Sure.
Like if they're not winning shows or looking big enough, like that's what messes with them.
Yeah.
So the body dysmorphia is like, it's how everybody else looks at them. Like, am I good enough as a bodybuilder? That's when they start injecting themselves with like six different compounds. So to go back what I was saying, 150 to 200 milligrams of testosterone a week is like what a doctor would give you.
Sure.
There are plenty of guys that are taking 2,000 milligrams of testosterone. And that's not even just all they're taking.
I'm really not trying to be a jerk, but when you say like sticking, needles in between your toes, like, dude, heroin's what comes to mind. Not
in between your toes was weird. You got to go into a muscle.
I'm just saying. Like,
we're not finding a vein here.
It's shades of heroin use is all I'm saying.
There's no rush. That's the thing I would say. There's no rush to steroids. You don't feel them, anything like that. It is. It's a.
I don't know what else to say.
When I used to, taking dabs, that's kind of a similar thing when people pull out the blowtorch and whatnot.
You never had to. Well, never mind. I'm not going to say that.
Yeah. No. All steroids have to get injected. It's called intramuscular, and so they go in the muscle deep.
Yeah. No, I understand the difference. What I'm saying is when you're rotating injection spots.
That's just it's for soreness. Yeah, for sure. It's scar tissue buildup. If you're smart, you don't go in the same spot over and over and over because scar tissue builds up. And so,
sure.
So you have to switch the spots.
I'm just wondering. I guess that comes always back to my sport argument because people are always like, "Well, bodybuilding is a sport." And I'm just like, "Well, okay."
I don't think bodybuilding is a sport.
Yeah. No, I know. I don't think it's you, to be fair. It's other people I've talked to in the past.
Yeah.
No, of course it's not.
It's a glorified beauty pageant.
No, it's a hobby. Of course, it's not a sport.
Yeah. A hobby that you could make money potentially. I mean, so I don't know. There's a professional level to it. But
what was that thing that people used to do where they like do like silicone in their muscles?
It's called synthol. It's not silicone. There are people that'll do like implants and things, but that's not the average person. You've seen these guys on the internet, and they always have these really round, like jiggly looking muscles almost.
They literally
their traps and in their shoulders, and their biceps are like freaking huge, and like the skin's like folding over their arms. That's just oil. It's called synthol. And they literally just put oil, more and more oil, and you go in the muscle and it just keeps stretching and stretching and stretching. The skin stretches, the fascia stretches, the muscle stretches. Now there's a strategy to that. There is a strategy where people think that the fascia that surrounds the muscle is what keeps it from growing and getting bigger a lot of the times. So people would put synthol in the muscle, stretch the fascia out, keep it stretched for a long enough period until it adapts, and then you stop taking the synthol and you hope that maybe your muscle fills out the extra room and grows. And that's the idea with synthol. Then you get people, of course, like bodybuilders are always going to keep doing more and more and more. If 1 pill's good, 2 pills is better, 10 pills is the best. They're going to keep injecting synthol all over the body. So some crazy people, definite body dysmorphia, don't understand anything, and they put tons of oil in their body. It's like the chicks that get the plastic surgery that don't look good.
Sure.
They're like, why did you get knockers that are like, bigger than basketballs?
Hey, but that's not to say that every like boob job does not look good. It's only some. So like, let's not.
We all know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, let's not defer the women away from boob jobs completely. Like,
I'm not saying anything.
You don't bite the hand that feeds you. So let's.
It's the same. I don't have anything against somebody using testosterone, steroids, anything like that. Like that's your choice. Like if you want to do that, you want to smoke weed, I don't care. The victimless crime is stupid. Like, why would anybody care if you're using steroids? It's not going to hurt anybody but you. All the lies, all the myths of roid rage and things like that are complete bullshit. You're going to get more angry from dieting than you'll ever get from taking steroids.
I seen something on Instagram. One of the ladies we follow on our company Instagram. So if you're listening to this, I saw your Instagram and made me think of this. She was basically posting about how she had boob implants, but they leaked into her like lymph nodes and whatnot, like a slow leak.
Yeah,
and it's not like anything. It's not like they were like compromised or anything. It's just like the silicone inserts have a tendency to leak.
Yeah.
Like that. Have you heard of that before?
There's a lot of this breast implant illness stuff going around, and there's probably some validity to it. But just like anything else, there's probably a lot of bullshit too, right?
Mhm.
Like, how long have implants been around?
That's what I'm literally
For quite a while.
Yeah,
right?
I don't know. I'm in the process of typing in like first instance of boob implant.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it definitely wasn't like 70s or something. It was probably like 90s. So we're talking, 30 something years now.
I love that. I love that this is a problem for our modern society.
It is. No, I think
leaky boob jobs.
I think it's 100% a possibility.
So you guys want to guess the year? No, hold on.
82.
No. Okay, so before you guess, I want you to guess the year, the country, and the part of the country and it's going to be hilarious.
82, Los Angeles, California.
It was 62 in I believe Dallas, Texas.
Damn. All right.
I was going to say 60s.
There really weren't many fake, fake boobs around the 60s, 70s, 80s, if I remember. But
Dude,
they started showing up.
Nothing says 60s Texas like some big old fake titties.
I guess that's true. But I think there's some validity to it. And the problem is that when people talk about this stuff, they act like it's going to happen to everybody. And the chances are probably good that it's not going to happen to everybody because you don't hear about it in mass.
No, fear cells.
And so, all these girls that have problems that they assume are related to their breast implants. Like if you're having fatigue or something like that going on, and you're like, I don't know what it is. I've done everything. I've gotten more sleep. I've eaten better. I've reduced stress.
Obviously, my fake boobs.
And so they convince themselves.
Women will literally do anything to not take accountability.
I mean, it's finding silicone in your lymph nodes is a very obvious indicator something bad is going on. But that doesn't mean that it happens to everyone. And I've been, I'll be honest, like there's a lot of times I see people post these and people that I know, and they've always complained about these, these chronic illnesses they have. And then they finally get their boobs. That's like the last thing. They're like, okay, I'm going to get an explant. I'm going to get my boobs out. That's going to be the thing. Hopefully that's the thing. I want to know the truth. How many of those people got it out and nothing changed for them? And how many of those people it was placebo?
Oh, yeah.
Where they got it out and they're like, oh, I already feel better. 2 days later, I already feel better. And I'm like, you are just placeboed up right now. 2 days, there's no chance. But there's definitely risks. There's definitely risks. So.
I had a girlfriend in high school whose mother had like fake boobs, and she was getting like a tattoo on the side of her boob, and it popped it.
Ooh, yeah.
Oh, that would be rough.
No, dude, they talk about these things like the silicone implants. Most of them, they'll take a truck and run over them, and those things won't pop.
Really?
Yeah.
I just can't imagine like getting a tattoo on your boob and then having your boob pop.
It's crazy.
That's like hanging lights up on a Christmas tree than a Christmas tree burning down because
it's more
of
awkward for the tattoo artist.
Yeah.
I would be curious to see, because you're supposed to get these implants replaced every 10 years.
Really? So they're like tires. I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
I thought they were like, I thought they were like a one-time thing.
And I think you're supposed to get replaced every 10 years or so. And I think there's a scar tissue that forms, and they form these, potentially these capsules around them and stuff. I mean, you're putting a foreign object in your body, and it's very possible, just like anything else, your body could reject this foreign object. And the rejection of this foreign object probably causes problems in your system. But that doesn't mean everybody's going to reject it.
What do you think hurts worse, the body rejection or the rejection of having small titties?
This is a wild topic. I'm just.
It's going to be my wife's going to love this stuff.
Yeah.
Just not going to say anything else until I move on.
So
I'd be curious. I mean, I'll be honest though. Like I'm very curious to see what comes from breast implant illness. It's new and it's trendy for a certain type of person that's, maybe has a chronic illness or something like that, and maybe have an autoimmune disease and they can't figure it out. But I don't know how much science is behind the breast implant illness.
Yeah.
There's lots of science behind, at this point in time, they're starting to connect, autoimmune diseases to lots of different things that are going on. So I'd be curious to see how it actually affects. But my favorite is whenever they post up these breast implant illness things and they're like, here are the symptoms. And you're like, oh, it's like COVID, right? A non-symptom's a symptom.
Exactly.
So I got it. If you're not sick, you can have COVID.
You could be sick
because it's literally,
if you're sick,
it's like 50 different things. Like here's all the symptoms, like diarrhea. Like, wow, I must have breast implant illness. That must be it. So no, I mean, anytime you put something in your body, you're taking a risk.
Yeah.
You stick steroids in your body, you stick boob jobs in your body, whatever it is. And they're the same thing. That's the most ironic part. You can go to a doctor, say my boobs are not big enough. I want bigger boobs. They're like, hey man, $5,000. We'll put some suckers in there for you. They'll look fantastic. But you go to the doctor and you're like, my arms aren't very big. I don't want those. They'll stick some plastic surgery in there.
I never thought about that point. So
but they won't let you take steroids, and why? The steroids, the interesting part is that when they banned steroids in 1990, it was because of sports, purity of sport, always baseball, things like that. And the World Health Organization or one of those organizations came out and said, these are not to be a scheduled drug. They have to be addictive. They have to be psychoactive. There's no evidence of these things. These are not addictive. These are not psychoactive. These are not dangerous. We have no reason to ban these and make them a scheduled drug.
Sure.
And they are a scheduled drug. I mean, they're very highly scheduled, and to the point where you're like, you're in big trouble, if you're making them, or if you're, or if you, even if you get them,
it's
you
the
get
same
caught
class as cocaine, right?
A fun fact for you guys.
Schedule too.
But it's ironic though, because the people that would do this, like I guarantee you, these bodybuilders that want to do this, if they knew they could go to the doctor and say, hey man, I want to do this, but I want to do it safe. Will you prescribe me testosterone? Will you help me do this? Will you do my blood work? Will you do all this stuff with me? Just like a girl might want a boob job and say, I want boobs. Hold on. I want boobs. Will you replace them? And will you do this for me? And a doctor will do it. But if you go and you say, I want steroids, they absolutely cannot and will not. And I'm like, it's just a very odd part of society. You can change anything and everything about yourself that you want. You can get, a facelift. You can have facial reconstructive surgery, all on demand. So like you can look like a fucking cat if you want. Yeah, dick tuck, whatever you want.
I'm totally with you. I don't understand how you can remotely justify the mental gymnastics of giving a 13-year-old the opposite
absolutely
thing, but you can't give a 25-year-old dude who knows exactly what he's trying to do the same hormone.
Do you know the average steroid user? You know what they are?
I would assume 18.
Nope. 30-year-old white male that works in a profession, has a career. That's your average steroid user.
That makes sense to me, actually.
100%. Like if you think about it, it does, because that's your average bodybuilder.
Most dudes in the gym are that.
In your 30s, if you're in your 30s, that's the people that are using the most steroid. White guys in their 30s that are professionals in their careers. Obviously, these are just some drug addicted criminals, So
71% of women are unhappy with their boob size.
I mean, I understand that.
I want to know the percentage of correlation between what are the percentage of men unhappy with their dick size?
I bet you it's probably less because guys would just lie.
So how I got to the statistic was I Googled, are women with big boobs more happy?
I don't think so.
And it said most women are unhappy with their breast size. A study looked at over 18,000 women from over 40 countries and found that 71% of them were not happy with their breast size.
Yeah.
So are men with big dicks more happy? That's what I want to know.
Well, I hope you find a good answer there.
I'm in a great mood.
7% of men felt their penis size was below average.
Okay.
53.9% of men felt their penis size was average, and 35.5% of men felt their penis size was over average.
Like I told you they're all lying.
We're just delusional.
Yeah. guys are just going to lie to the researchers too. Even if they're measuring it, like I swear it's bigger than this other day. So I just got to get worked up more or something. I swear.
Cold in here?
Yeah. Guys are just
I need a hotter
liars.
scientist in here.
Yeah. Guys are just liars. That's all it is. Girls are more willing, and that's a more obvious thing. You can see a breast size through regular clothing, or dick size. You got to guess, I guess.
It is weird what's allowed these days in the medical field and what's not.
I think that's the biggest problem more than anything else. And the fact that it's just, victimless crimes. I don't care what people do in their homes. I don't care what they do. If they're not hurting somebody else, I really don't care.
Yeah.
I'm not here to control their lives and everything else they do. It's not the job of government.
So it seems that supplement companies like to just add shit until it gets too much. And I think a prime example of that right now is pre-workouts.
Okay.
Right? So we just have all these pre-workouts just going unnecessarily ridiculous with their ingredients. And what do you guys think about that?
It's the same bodybuilder mentality. More is, one is good, two is better, 10's the best.
Yeah, like what is the actual amount you really need of beta-alanine?
The studies show, I'm pretty sure 1,600 is one study, 3,200 milligrams is the other study, if I remember right. And both of them showed improvement in lactic acid threshold. So people that are putting 4 grams in there, they're just doing it to pump their label up.
Yeah,
right. It's not following
feel
the
your
studies.
face
It's
more.
like KSM 66 ashwagandha, right? It's 600 milligrams a day is your dose.
Yeah.
So if you put 800 in there, you do not have any evidence that's better than 600. The studies were done at 600. You're just putting it in there for the label.
Yeah.
But I think the bigger thing is that people just really need to understand how important a pre-workout is and what it's going to do for you more than anything else, right? Because if I were to pick it's by far the number one most important thing people buy, and it is to me by far the least important thing you should spend your money on. And that's coming from a guy that's got 4 pre-workouts.
Okay, so wait, can you rephrase that? Did you just say it's the least important you should buy or the most important thing you should buy?
The least.
Least important thing you should buy.
But it is the number one thing people do buy.
Okay.
So like if, when I was working in the store, if somebody came in and they only had $40, they're going to buy pre-workout. They're not going to buy protein. But that's the mistake.
Yeah, they way rather have the protein.
Yeah, the protein's by far the best. I mean, the protein, creatine, aminos, you go into omegas, you go into a bunch of stuff before you get the pre-workouts and really the benefits of pre-workouts. Pre-workouts are really like, let me help you work out better. But once you've broken the muscle down to actually get the results, you have to have the protein and the calories and the environment of rest to build the muscle back up. So pre-workouts are not nearly as important as people are thinking, but it's the number one feel it product. We all love drugs, obviously. We all love,
the liquid motivation.
Yeah.
All these losers that used to drink energy drinks and monsters just drink pre-workouts now.
Yeah. It's not that a pre-workout is unnecessary by any means, but if you're going to spend your money preferentially, you should be spending it on the things that make the biggest difference, your biggest bang for your buck, right?
Yeah.
Pre-workouts are not your biggest bang for your buck in terms, you can take a pre-workout every single day and the difference in your physique would be negligible compared to if you took a protein powder after your workout and increased your protein every day. That would be the biggest difference. So, or take creatine. If you took creatine, drastically cheaper, especially if you got creatine monohydrate, the cheap stuff. Take a 5-gram serving of creatine monohydrate every day. Don't take pre-workout. And then, compare 2 twins. One's taking creatine, one's taking pre-workout. Creatine guy's going to get bigger for sure. Better recovery, better results, better strength, all of it.
Yeah.
So let's just say you add creatine and protein to just what you're doing. You don't change anything you're doing. You're already an individual that works out at whatever intensity that you work out at.
Yeah.
What are they going to see from that? Like, are they like just changing nothing except just adding protein and creatine?
Okay. Protein is the building block of muscle. If you don't have enough protein, you will not recover the muscle effectively. So it's really about a total amount of protein throughout the day. And a protein shake is one easy way to get more protein in, especially around the time frame, because when you work the muscle is then in a primed and ready state to recover. It's been broken down. It's in this stressed, state where it's like, holy shit, what's going on? It's looking for the nutrients. You feed it the protein, the amino acids right at that time, that recovery process speeds up faster. It's like a big spike and it starts recovering. So building muscle becomes a lot easier. You're not going to be as sore when you take protein. You're going to get stronger because when you break the muscle down and it has to repair itself, the goal is for it to repair itself stronger. So if you pick up 20 pounds off the ground and your body is like, damn, that hurts. The next time the 20 pounds should be lighter. And the next time after that, the 20 pounds should be lighter. And the next time after that, it should be lighter until you can pick up 25 or 30 pounds, right? That's the whole idea of progressive overload and building muscle. And so that's protein. Creatine supports that strength. So if you can say pick up 25 pounds, well, now you can actually stimulate the muscle in a deeper way. You can use more weight. You can push yourself further. You're getting stronger. And then you still have to have the protein to build that muscle later. So the two work in tandem together for increasing strength, increasing endurance while you're working out, and helping you build muscle. Pre-workouts have benefits, but they don't compare to those benefits. Right? Okay. So like pre-workouts, caffeine, stimulants, they will increase your performance. They'll help you work out better. But the studies on caffeine that after, a few weeks of taking caffeine, it gets you back to like a normal level. It doesn't enhance your performance anymore. Yeah, it becomes what you need to perform, not what enhances your performance anymore. And then you have other things. Citrulline helps with performance in the gym. So you could take citrulline while you're working out. Or before you work out, you'll work out harder and longer. But if you don't have the protein afterwards, if you're not eating enough protein, doesn't matter how hard you're working out. You can kill yourself in the fucking gym. If you don't have the foundation ready to take on how hard you're working, you just waste your time. So
I think that's the easiest. I mean, the easiest way I always thought about it was that when I was early, really getting into lifting, it was always protein was number one.
Yep.
Glutamine or creatine was number 2 or 3. Aminos are kind of 4 if you want to.
Yep.
Pre-workouts probably. If you had to rank them, obviously there's no ranking. Nowadays, obviously there's no right or wrong answer once again, but it's more like protein 1, creatine 2, seems to be like Aminos 3 or an EAA product, maybe like Greens.
Greens is up
something,
there. Yeah.
and then eventually you get the pre-workout.
Yeah.
So it's not like it's not important. It's just less important.
It's just less important. If you're going to spend your money somewhere and you don't have the money to buy everything,
exactly.
The pre-workout's not the one that you have to buy. Or you could go with the cheaper. It depends on what you're looking for out of the pre-workout.
Sure.
The pre-workout's not going to make you huge.
Sure.
It's all the other things that you do that are going to make you huge.
Yeah.
How much protein you take in, how much sleep you get.
Oh,
Those
yeah.
are way more important than a pre-workout.
Do greens help build muscle?
Greens don't help build muscle, but they could help you in gut health is one of the ways. A bad gut is going to cause inflammation across your body. It's going to cause stress across your body. It's going to, hurt nutrient absorption, digestion, how you feel when you're working out, things like that. So a greens product really brings in the nutrients that you're missing from your diet. It brings in the gut health kind of portions. It brings in digestive health, things like that, which is really like changing your oil and making sure that your car's running good. You're not going to get a better performance by changing like the type of oil. But if you've got shitty oil and it's really old and it's getting real thick, like you're going to have a problem, right? It's kind of the way I look at greens.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So, is there like, what do you feel like is the perfect pre-workout?
It's a good question. It depends on the person. It's always the way. That's why I make more 4 pre-workouts, right? We had 5, now it's 4. But it's because everybody likes different. Some people love to be cracked out and they like that like high caffeine crack feeling. And that's 121 or Giants Brew, right? They want to be pushed through their workout, and the energy is what pushes them through their workout, especially if they're working out like 5 a.m. They get up and slam their 121 and they're ready to fly when they get to the gym, right? But those aren't the most important ingredients. Like there's a lot of things that are in pre-workouts that are not caffeine based, like your citrulline malate, the beta alanine. But again, the beta alanine is kind of a feel it product.
Yeah.
It makes you tingle. And it does buffer lactic acid levels, but you do need to take it consistently for it to do that. So it's kind of a weird product in pre-workouts because it's only in there because it's a tingling feeling pre-workout, right? Even though it has the benefits. But there's a lot of other ingredients that increase, nitric oxide production or something like that, or muscular endurance while you're working out. And I think those are the most important. So citrulline, betaine anhydrous, those kind of ingredients, citrulline malate. I like citrulline malate, absorbs better. That kind of thing. Those are the main ingredients to look for. High caffeine levels, how much it makes you tingle, how cracked out it makes you. Those aren't really that important.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I guess that makes sense on like why there's so many options. Like people like is like a pump, like a nitric oxide supplement. Is that considered a pre-workout?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But it could be caffeine free.
Gotcha.
And really, like that would be one of the better ones to go with for the average person. Like you don't need the caffeine. The caffeine's kind of like that extra boost. If you take it too often, the boost kind of goes away. It's kind of like drinking energy drinks every day.
Yeah, it's the coffee conundrum that everyone finds themselves into at some point.
Coffee used to wake you up. Now it's like the thing that makes you normal.
You start drinking it and you're like, I don't even feel this anymore. Yeah. It's like, you need it.
That's pre-workouts.
To not feel something like, no, pre-workouts I think are the same way.
There's a lot of people that should be taking breaks from pre-workouts that are not.
A little tea break.
Next question.
Little tea break, a little pre-break,
That's,
Did you say you had a question?
No, that's exactly what I was about to ask, though, because so many people seem to cycle through, go from one to other, like, oh, this one used to be awesome, I can't feel it anymore. It's like, that's
the best lie that people have is that like switching from one brand to another would like keep their body guessing. That's my favorite. No, I switch it up. I keep my body guessing. Like, no, when you stimulate the adrenal glands, it's stimulation.
Different workouts would be keeping your body guessing, not a different pre-workout.
It doesn't. It's just how do you stimulate your body? Okay, this is stimulating it. Okay, this is stimulating it. Okay, this is stimulating it. And then the adrenal glands end up, producing all of that and getting worn out. And that's the problem.
I think way more people should put a way stronger emphasis on recovery.
Everything is recovery. Everything's recovery. It's all first the stimulus. First you build the muscle by breaking it down. First you go to the gym and you destroy your body. Yeah. Then the recovery process is what makes you stronger. And that's the number one priority. And so that's your protein, that's your sleep, that's the creatine, that's all of those things that help with that recovery process.
No, it totally makes sense. But even when I remember being a teenager, you wouldn't be able to convince me like protein is better than pre-workout.
I know.
Because I can't feel the protein. Yeah. Like I know what you mean.
I was still the same. Like I remember taking NO Explode, like you were at my house and we're like drinking NO Explode and going to the YMCA in high school or something. And I remember taking Well, if 1 scoop of Inno explodes good,
Yeah.
3 scoops is better. And so I'd
I'm
be
gonna
like
get
fucking
jacked.
cracking myself
Yeah.
out at, 17 years old or something, drinking three scoops, 300 milligrams caffeine or something from Inno Explode.
Rob Zombie, bro.
And I even, I grew up in the fitness industry and I even thought that pre-workouts were, like, holy shit, this is going to do it for me. But the trick is that none of them are the one single answer.
Yeah.
It's the system. You build a system around building muscle and everything that's in that system supports what you're doing.
Yeah.
So that's where the protein, the creatine, the aminos come in, and then the pre-workout.
All this being said, though, if you struggle to get your ass in the gym, dude, for $40 or 50 bucks
100%.
for that motivation is a small price to pay. It really is. I'm
That's
just
true.
saying.
That's
like,
true.
We're not trying to poo-poo pre-workouts.
No, obviously I see a benefit to them or I wouldn't make them.
Right.
But really it's the hierarchy of needs.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's a
First
good
you
way to
take
put
care
it.
of your lower level needs.
Sure.
And then you can move up into the higher level.
Yeah.
And that's pre-workout. Yeah. So
Awesome. Well, I think that covers it for our topics today.
that's everything. All
That is
right.
everything.
Crazy.
How many episodes are we at on
Is this
now?
18?
This is 19.
19.
Episode 19.
Crazy.
20 is a magic number.
It is. Maybe we'll do something for 20.
In this warehouse, 20 is a magic number.
20 is a magic number
That's
in this
right.
warehouse.
Someday you'll
I don't know
find out why. I know why.
Oh yeah, I remember now.
I
remember now.
We'll tune the listeners in sometime.
Okay.
Clue them in.
Awesome. Well, if you guys have not subscribed,
Hit that button.
it really
Smash that subscribe
smash
button.
it. Smash it. That's what really helps us get.
Leave a comment
Viewers.
below.
Hit it 3 times, actually.
Yeah. Subscribe,
Yeah.
unsubscribe, resubscribe,
Boom.
unsubscribe, and
Yeah.
resubscribe once again.
Forward it to your
Hit it
entire
an
email
odd
list.
amount of times.
Yeah.
That's
Send it to every person that told you no for Valentine's Day.
Ouch. Okay. That's a good one.
and if no one told you anything for Valentine's
Wow.
Day,
Then send it to everybody in your contacts list.
That's good.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys for cranking out the Nut Club.
That's right. Thanks for cranking one out.
see y'all next week.
See you next time.